This is a short presentation about Renaissance artists. The Renaissance attained its most glorious expression in its painting, sculpture, and architecture. Wealthy people played a major role in this artistic flowering. Popes and princes supported the work of hundreds of artists, and wealthy, powerful men and women bought the art from the artists. You may know some of the Renaissance artists as the Ninja Turtles. Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael, and Michelangelo were four important artists from Florence. Some characteristics of Renaissance art. It was influenced by the artistic achievements of Greek and Rome. Much of the Gothic art had been symbolic and fairly flat, and Renaissance art went back to making things seem realistic. They did this in a couple ways. They used perspective to create an illusion of depth. By using a vanishing point or a spot in the picture from which all things move forward, they create perspective by making the things closer to the viewer larger, and the smallest objects would be at the vanishing point. The other thing they used was shading to make objects look round and real. Painters and sculptors of this time also studied human anatomy and drew based on live models, so they were able to portray the human body more accurately than medieval artists had done. They depicted religious themes and characters, and they tried to make their paintings lifelike. They used natural postures and expressions, and they showed emotions in their paintings and sculptures. Some of the important players. Donatello was a sculptor, and he was known for using the Greek and Roman style. He created statuettes and friezes for cathedrals, and he was known for his focus on the beauty of the human body. This is his sculpture of David and St. George and Mary Magdalene. You can see the beauty in her, even though she's looking disheveled and impoverished. And he also created a life-size statue of a soldier on horseback, and it was the first life-size figure like this done since ancient times. Filippo Brunelleschi, he was a widely renowned architect. He was known for creating domes and arches that were a revival of the Greek form. He made the dome of the Florence Cathedral, which was a feat of engineering as well as design. It has a 135-foot diameter and was to span this distance without scaffolding. Leonardo da Vinci, he was born in 1452. He was very curious, and he was known as a genius and a Renaissance man. The term Renaissance man means somebody who is skilled in many different areas. So he was a skilled artist, a skilled painter, a botanist, an architect, and an inventor. He was very interesting in how things worked. He's best known for his genius, and he's regarded as the greatest artist of the period. Here's his image of the Virgin on the rocks. You can see the human expression and emotion and the three dimensions in his painting. This is his image of the Last Supper. You can really see the detail where the walls move forward out from the vanishing point. It's very faded because at this time he was working with inventing different types of paints, and this type of paint wasn't a very long-lasting one. And so this painting faded faster than others had, but it was later restored. Here's his most famous painting, the Mona Lisa. You can see he's working here with expression, and her expression, though it looks very real, it's hard to determine what the expression is. And so this is kind of that humanistic focus on the human body and human emotions. He was also known for his inventions. Two of the things he had ideas for were the submarine and the airplane, and this was done centuries before these things were actually invented. Another interesting fact about Leonardo is that he dissected corpses. to learn how bones and muscles work. So when he was painting, he wanted to know in that particular pose which muscles are going to bulge out and which muscles are going to recede, so that he could better paint the human body. This is an example of his architecture, Ponte Vecchio, city street on a bridge. Michelangelo is most known for his portrayal of the human body. He was a sculptor, architect, painter, and a poet. He was influenced by classical art, and he painted and sculpted heroic and forceful figures. This is really one of his best known paintings. It is the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. This is just one piece of that ceiling. The two hands touching is used very often as just an image. So this was an enormous task, painting the chapel. It took him 4 years, and while he was painting this, he lay on his back on a wooden platform suspended just a few inches below the chapel ceiling. He wrote about this. He said, "My stomach is thrust towards my chin, my beard curls up towards the sky, my head leans right over onto my back, the brush endlessly dripping onto my face." So that'll give you some idea of the arduousness of this task. This is a larger image of the Sistine Chapel. This is in the third. The statue of David will show his detailed depiction of the human body. And St. Peter's Basilica. If this looks familiar to you, it may be because the U.S. Capitol building was designed after this basilica, and he designed the architecture for this. And here's a depiction of Moses. As you can see, a lot of the themes in this art of the Renaissance era is Christian and religious themes. And this is the Pieta of St. Peter's. Again, it's a religious theme, but you see the expression and the natural poses in this amazing sculpture of Mary and Jesus after his death. Raphael. So he actually learned from Michelangelo and Da Vinci. He mastered perspective and ancient styles to produce works of harmony, and his paintings are known for their appearance of peace and relaxation. This is one of his most famous paintings, and it's the School of Athens. In this picture, he has an imaginary gathering of great thinkers and scientists such as Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and he actually has himself included, and Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. This is his image of the Madonna and Child, and you see the peace and serenity, and also the 3 dimensions and the shadows that are typical of this time period. The Adoration of the Magi, you can clearly see the different dimensions and the distance, and you can probably figure where the vanishing point is. Botticelli, he was a member of the intellectual circle of the powerful Florentine merchant Lorenzo de' Medici, and it's thought that many of the Renaissance artists of Florence in that time went to the Medici's home, and in their garden they looked at the Roman and Greek statues, and they used those to create their art and to study in order to make their art better. He was a painter, and you can see here the throwback to Roman times with the birth of Venus. There was also an artistic revival in the north. Albrecht Dürer was a German painter, engraver, and printmaker, and mathematician and theorist from Nuremberg. So you can see he's also a Renaissance man because he has multiple talents. Here we have a self-portrait and one of his engravings that's done on wood. So he would engrave the wood so he could stamp it in ink and make copies of the paintings. And on ink you have here the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So kind of the same type of art where you have shading and realism and human expression you can see in his face, and then also mixed with religious themes. Jan and Hubert van Eyck, they were brothers from Flanders, and they also painted for the aristocracy. They developed oil paint, and the oil paint allowed them to have a lot brighter color. in their art as compared to some of the other paintings. If you look in detail here, you can see that they have a circular mirror, and if you look closely, or if you look at one of those pictures online, you see that it reflects the entire scene in that circular mirror, and it's in a convex image, which shows you the mastery of perspective. And that is all for the artists of the Renaissance.